Live on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, Game Day, Football 24/7 with NFL insider John McMullen from down at Lincoln Financial Field. Johnny Mac, I guess we'll need the next 12 to 14 minutes to go over all of the inactives who actually will be dressed and ready to play in the game tonight.
Well, I mean, it starts with Jalen Hurts, and obviously he's not going to play or even be suited up for the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's going to be Gardner Minshew and a cast of backup players. So as expected, as we talked about most of the week, the most likely scenario is the Eagles would choose rest over rust, so to speak, in that battle of sentiment. And they are erring on the side of of caution. And it makes sense if you think about how this team has done business, really dating back to training camp with all the maintenance days and the short practice days. The focus was always on keeping people as healthy as possible. And now that the Dallas Cowboys are in here for week 18 in a relatively meaningless game, the Eagles are going to rest their key players, and the vast majority of them, the entire defensive line, both starting corners aren't going to play. Uh, you know, most of the offensive line. Now, Jason Kelsey's the one player who got activated off the COVID list. He will probably start the game to keep his consecutive game streak alive, consecutive starting streak at 122. But he'll only, play a series or two. It's going to be backups, Krause.
Both sides of the football, Johnny Mac?
Yeah, both sides of the football. As I said, offensively, Gardner Minshew is going to start at quarterback. If you think about the running back position, Miles Sanders is injured, but Jordan Howard and Boston Scott remain on the COVID list. So it's going to be a lot of Kenny Gainwell. Jason Huntley was elevated from the practice squad. He'll be the backup. The offensive line, as I mentioned, Landon Dickerson, Lane Johnson are a little bit banged up. They are inactive. Kelsey, as I mentioned, will play just to keep that consecutive streak alive, but he will leave early. The one aspect, tight ends, Dallas Goedert's out, Jack Stoll is out. So they'll be deep in the tight end group. The one group that will play because they're so young is receiver. And those guys are up. So when you think about that, but I can't imagine they would play Devontae Smith much at all.
Live from down at Lincoln Financial Field, Football 24/7's John McMullen checking in here live on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, all presented by Stateside Vodka. What will we see from Dallas, John?
Well, Dallas has a number of players on the COVID list as well, a number of key players. Micah Parsons, their star rookie linebacker, has been one of the best defensive players in the NFL, is on the COVID list. Teron Smith, Pro Bowl left tackles, on the COVID list. Anthony Brown, the starting corners, on the COVID list. They also have Jaron Kearse, who's a starting safety. Trevon Diggs, their great corners, not going to play. So a lot of Cowboys are down as well. But Jerry Jones has said he wants to get some of the key players at least some work. And I think that starts with Dak Prescott. We'll see. I haven't gotten the Cowboys inactives yet. But clearly this game is taking more of a preseason environment as we move forward. From the Cowboys' perspective, maybe, and they've said this earlier in the week, it's very cold, as people know. In Philadelphia, it's about 25 degrees going to be during game time. And they're thinking about a potential trip to Green Bay, and they want to get used to it. So maybe they feel that is of at least some value.
Johnny Mac, is this potentially or possibly Jason Kelsey's final start at Lincoln Financial Field?
Yeah, it's always possible. I mean, Jason has said everything is year to year for him at this point. I do think he's enjoyed this season. So from that perspective of with the new coaching staff and with his teammates, but one thing he's also noted is that that's what's fun for him. What's fun for him is hanging out, the camaraderie of the locker room. And when you have these COVID protocols, he doesn't enjoy it as much. So nobody knows where this is going. It looks like they're going to lighten them up a little bit again as we head towards the playoffs. And I'm talking about the protocols. But if it scales back to this type of environment again next season, Jason might not want to play through that. And then there's the physical aspect. And he generally always, this time, when the season does end, he'll take a couple weeks, maybe a month or so, and try to feel, how his body is and if he's ready to go. But, he's starting to think about his legacy, which is a potential Hall of Fame legacy. And when you start thinking about those types of honors, you got to look at all pro teams and things like that. Some have said maybe he needs to make a few more all pro teams. He probably will again this year. So there's a lot of sort of things to mull over, and that's what Jason generally does. But he'll make a decision by early March and the start of the new league year because he won't leave the Eagles hanging out to dry. So they'll know by the start of the new league year whether Jason wants to come back or not.
Well, another night or another game during the season for Minshew Mania. Our last memory of Minshew Mania, at least for me, was post in the parking lot with his father. So I imagine Minshew's going to bring it tonight in this football game, no matter who's on the field.
Yeah, well, I mean, Gardner is, a very energetic guy, a very entertaining guy. So it'll probably be interesting to talk to him after the game, no matter what happens. But, he's not going to have that offensive line. He's not going to have Jason Kelce, as I said, for more than a few snaps. He's not going to have Lane Johnson. He's not going to have Landon Dickerson. I can't imagine they're going to play Jordan Mailata that much. That's kind of the engine of the Eagles' offensive success. So it might be a little more difficult for that reason alone. Obviously, the last time we got to see Gardner, he played very well against a bad football team, the New York Jets. But hey, this is a good backup quarterback. This is one of the better backup quarterbacks in the NFL.
Johnny Mac, who else do you expect on this starting lineup for the Birds to go out and have a big game? Is it Kenny Gainwell that'll have a big game? What do you think?
He should get a lot of touches. And if you think about, Tyree Jackson, for instance, he's the guy at tight end now with no Dallas Goedert, no Jack Stoll. So maybe he gets an opportunity. Maybe this is an opportunity for some of those secondary receivers we constantly talk about, the Jalen Reagors, the Quez Watkins, the Greg Wards, even J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, to gain some confidence, to get a lot of playing time. So those are the players you're going to be looking at.
Football 24/7 with NFL insider John McMullen. A reminder, Johnny Mac joins Derek Gunn, Mark Farzetta, and Devin Caney for the live post-game show. We'll tell you the entire story right here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel and 6abc.com. Doesn't matter who's in the building. Doesn't matter who's on the field. The story will be told on the live on that live post-game show coming up as soon as the clock goes to zeros. Johnny Mac, what does this mean for the coaching staff? Are they going through the motions? Are they sampling and trying out things? Are they running a limited playbook? How about Nick Sirianni and the head coach? What's he going to do?
No, I don't think it changes anything from their perspective. They're going to go and try to win the game with the players they have. They just, and really it's more than a coaching staff. This is an organizational decision. Decided the small opportunity to increase seeding to number 6 or try to manipulate and get a better opponent in the first round of the playoffs. Nick kind of, while he wouldn't admit it during the week, he did give you a few hints. He dropped a few breadcrumbs that he was going to do this. And one of them is he said, we're well aware we don't control our own destiny. So even if the Eagles win, they can't control anything as far as their first round opponent. So there's no use worrying about it. And that's why the Eagles chose the so-called rest over rust philosophy.
Good stuff from John McMullen reporting from the Linc, Lincoln Financial Field. It does not feel, Johnny Mac, like Dallas week, like Dallas day. Haven't felt like this in a long time. This is as meaningless as the New York Jets, that final preseason game going all the way back to before the season kicked off.
Well, I won't say it's that meaningless because remember, when you talk about the traditional third preseason game, now they only have 3. But in the old days, that used to be the so-called dress rehearsal game. But remember, preseason games, you have 80 or 90 players available. So that's not the case in this instance. So the guys who are dressed do have to play a little bit at least. So you don't have those guys who aren't going to be here next week. Everybody playing in this game is a true Philadelphia Eagle. They're not going to be, as I said, released a couple days later. They'll be back on the practice squad, but they're a part of this team. So it is a little bit different from that perspective. But yeah, it's, I will say, TV probably isn't happy. But when the ratings come in, hey, it's going to do better than NBA playoff games, Major League Baseball World Series games, because but the logos, the Dallas Cowboys, the Star, the Philadelphia Eagles, the logos are going to be drawing the TV ratings tonight.
And the great fans of the Philadelphia Eagles who show up, Johnny Mac, no matter what. They always do show up. Good stuff on our pregame show or our pregame hit from down at Lincoln Financial Field. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see Johnny Mac right back here at halftime. And then again, a reminder, the live postgame show with Derek Gunn, Mark Farzetta, Devin Caney, and yours truly, John McMullen, live from down at the stadium. Thanks, Johnny Mac.
Thanks, Krause. Appreciate it.
All right, good stuff from Johnny Mac checking in from down at Lincoln Financial Field. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And yes, Philadelphia Eagle fans always do show up. That's just the way it is. Until we come back and join you at halftime, Eagles Cowboys, right here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. See you, everybody.